Hello and welcome to the Netty baking channel. Now in this video I'm going to be making fresh pizza from scratch. Now I'm not Italian or don't have any roots there, but this is just a layman's terms, the way that I do it, how I make a pizza from scratch. There will be a gluten-free one coming up, but this particular one, the base, is not going to be gluten-free. I'm using bread flour. Now I've weighed all of my ingredients out there, and the first thing I've done is I've left that yeast for about half an hour there, now 25 minutes, and as you can see that's blooming already. So that's the ones in the sachets. So you add the sachet to around about 300 millilitres of warm water, and it has to be around 40 to 46 degrees Celsius for it to come alive. I've got salt there. I'm not putting that with the yeast. I've also added sugar, 1 teaspoon of sugar into the yeast. I'm going to add that 1 teaspoon of salt into the bread flour. Now I've measured out 500 grams of bread flour there. That works best because it gives it that nice bubbling in the bread, and it's got more gluten in it, which is going to help to make a better base, hopefully, than it would with plain flour. So I'm just going to sift that into the big bowl there. So also, if you use bread flour instead of plain flour, you're going to get a crispier crust as well. So overall it just works much better, but just work with whatever you can get. You can also do this with a mixer if you want to, but I'm doing it all by hand, but it's whatever's easiest for you. So the yeast, obviously I can add that in a minute because it looks, basically it should look something like that. If it isn't foaming, or should I say blooming, your yeast probably isn't active or it's out of date. There is a type of yeast you can use which will come up on the screen now, and you can just add that and you don't have to do all that blooming process. So it depends what type of yeast you have there really. But if it hasn't bloomed after 10 minutes, just my advice is that it's probably dead, so I'd get fresh again. Now you've got to have a lot of time to do this. I'd say about 3 or 4 hours at least, maybe. It depends how long you're going to leave your dough to proof for. You can leave it for 2 days in the fridge, which will give it a better taste, but this, what I'm showing, is done in 3 hours. So I just made a well there to put the salt into the flour, and what I'm going to do next is whisk that up and make sure it's all in there. The reason why I don't put the salt and the yeast and the sugar together in one go is apparently salt has some reaction with sugar, the one or the other. It kind of kills it, so it stops the sugar. Obviously that's going to be like a preservative or something, and it also adds flavour, and you don't want one to kill off the other, so it doesn't do what it should. Now I've made a well again, and I've added that bloomed yeast and water. Now I found we actually had a bit of a heat wave this week, and I live in a part of the UK where it's the Lake District, and it can be quite damp. And I'll just tell you something about what happened. It can be quite damp, and usually I don't need that much water because I think it's in the air, but we had a heat wave this week while I was making this, which was brilliant for the proving, and it actually needed to add more water than I usually do. You'll notice there that that's a different bowl. Now my first go at this behind the scenes, it didn't work. It was really tough, and you almost need that dough to feel quite soft. There is quite sticky to it, so I started again. But that's the bit. If you have to do it again, you have to do it. You're making it from scratch and you're learning, and also I find it is a learning process. You might need a few goes to get to feel the dough and things like that and know when it's gone right and it's gone wrong. So once it's all put together and it's coming away from the sides, you can pour it out onto a floured surface. And what I'm doing now is I'm just kneading that for a good 15 minutes. It's a damn good workout, and you should be able to poke it with your finger and the dent that's left will slowly go away and won't be a dent there anymore. I'd recommend that's when it's probably ready, but give it a good 10-15 minutes of kneading and put your back into it. You can see there, that's the gluten strands, and that's what you're looking for. If it's doing that, you're doing it right. So just a word about freezing this in case you need to. So this actual recipe makes 2 pizza bases. So what you'd need to do is half that if you're going to freeze it, and put it into separate containers or something that you can freeze it in, and you can keep that frozen for up to 3 months. So it's at that stage now where it's ready to prove. So what I'm going to do is get some olive oil. Again, Italians, don't shout at me. This is what's available to me. Just a little drizzle of that in the bowl, and make sure it's nice and coated inside, and also just a very thin layer on the dough as well. Now that'll stop it sticking, hopefully stop it sticking to the bowl. I'm going to get some cling film, and the box is damaged so I haven't got that, and I'm just going to get a little bit of olive oil on that, just on my hand, and coat where it's going to be the inside. It's going to go over the bowl like that. There we go. And then if that does rise enough, it's not going to stick too much to that cling film. It's just going to come off really easy. So that's why I do that. And I try not to use too much cling film, obviously, with it being a plastic. Now then, I'm going to leave that for an hour, but feel free if you want to leave that in the fridge for 24 hours, anything up to 48 hours, and it's going to double in size. But the longer you leave it, especially if you leave it in the fridge for up to 2 days, the better and improved the taste is going to be. So for me personally, after an hour, it's doubled in size, and I'm going to use a pizza tray. I've not got a pizza stone. I've put a piece of parchment paper down on that. So there we go, doubled in size. Plop that out. See how easy that came out? It didn't stick to the bowl or anything. And I'm just going to hand stretch that. This, you might, if you feel it's not stretching any more than you think it needs to, leave it for about 5 minutes. If it has been in the fridge, make sure that dough gets up to room temperature, and then you can start working with it again. Leave it 5 minutes, go again, and it should stretch out to the size of that dish. So toppings wise, this is more for a healthy kind of, if you fancy a pizza now and again. This is a healthier recipe, but so we've got some ham, mushrooms, red onion, and we're using Gouda and a little bit of mozzarella with this one. But you can change that up, and you can use vegan cheese if you want to. If you're using stuff like broccoli or the mushrooms, you can saute the mushrooms before, soften the broccoli for about 5 minutes. I'm literally just using here, very easy, is tomato puree. Now I find me and my partner, we both like the taste of the tomato puree. I've made pizza sauces before. This is less likely to soak the base, really. I've found that I just like it. I also like doing barbecue sauce as well instead of the tomato puree. So just spread that out evenly, and I'm going to put a small layer of mozzarella. Those damn bags, I realised I didn't cut off enough. So it reseals again, those bags, by the way. So just a tiny smattering of mozzarella, which goes nice with the tomato base there. A very light one. Add a bit more as well. And then some slices of Gouda. Now I've preheated my oven to 250 degrees Celsius, which is about 475 degrees Fahrenheit. I've let that oven warm up for a good half hour. And then obviously if you're using a pizza stone, you'd warm up your pizza stone as well. But in this case, I don't have one, but I've heated that oven up to 250. And I'm just going to chop up some mushrooms again. Feel free to saute the mushrooms for a few minutes if you want to, but I didn't do that. I'm just popping them on. They taste absolutely fine anyway. I haven't noticed any difference, if I'm honest. Now, freshly grated cheese, I've found, seems to melt so much easier. You've seen me using a pre-shredded one, which usually you will find that they've got a coating on, so they won't melt as well as a freshly grated. So do bear that in mind, but again, work with what you got with. If that's all you've got, it's not going to be too much worries at all. So my tips for this are to treat the dough gently. If you do get any rips in it, just put a light flour on your surface and roll it out again, and it should be absolutely fine. I'll probably leave it for 5 minutes and then come back and re-stretch it, but just treat it gently. If you feel it's not going to stretch anymore, leave it and then come back to it. And you can also use semolina as well. Plenty of tips online to show you how to use that. I've never used it. So all the toppings are looking good on there, it's looking delicious, and I'm just going to bake that for around about 15 to 20 minutes. And just for a nice bit of flavour, I'm going to add a little bit of that mozzarella on the top. Let's see what that looks like. Around about 18-20 minutes maybe later. So here's a before. And here is the after, and it just slides off that with parchment paper. It's brilliant, no worries, no fuss at all. So I'm just going to slice that up and give that to my partner, and apparently he really enjoyed it. He said it was the best one yet. What I'd say is keep practicing, keep doing it. If you go wrong first, try again, don't give up. It's really easy. It's one of them, once you get the knack for it, it's so much nicer than a supermarket bought one. Obviously the longer you leave the dough, the better it's going to be, but no more than 48 hours in the fridge. And well, apart from that, that's all I have to say really. Just enjoy. And again, if you're in the mood for it, do it, go for it, you'll enjoy it. And thank you for watching. I'll be back soon with a gluten-free pizza and a few other videos. And what else? I think it's vegan as well. So, shall see you soon. Bye bye for now and take care.